We're catching up with Amplitude Studios here at Gamescom to find out about your latest announcements, developments, endless developments, I should say.
Yes.
Endless Space 2 was announced just a short while ago, and you're showing it off here for the first time. Tell us, give us the quick pitch. What is it?
Endless Space 2, so obviously it is the first follow-up that we're doing. It's the fourth game that we do at Amplitude. It is a 4X game. It's all about spatial conquest. The thing is, we learned so much since we started 4 years ago. First, Endless Space. First 4X. What is a 4X? We're big fans of 4Xs, but we never made one. So first we learned 4Xs. Then we wanted to work on a fantasy universe. We wanted to to freshen up our minds, look at it 4X in different settings. What happened if I took that 4X to fantasy empire, and then it's on the planet. All that challenges. Okay, now it's on the planet. Before we're lost in space. And then the planet becomes kind of a person. Because it's the terrain. It's all these features that comes with it. Asymmetrical gameplay. Coming up to it. In the meantime, we worked on Dungeon of the Endless, to do a bridge of it, to again freshen up our minds, to do something else, and have also a different take on strategy through roguelikes. And then, finally, we were able to go back to Endless Space, to the reason why we created Amplitude at the beginning. But the good thing is with that, it's like, we have all these new simulations, all these new ways to look at 4Xs, all these new ways to look at strategy. And that's what we do with Endless Space. It's like, for example, all this asymmetric gameplay that we brought in Endless Space, Endless Legend, sorry, it's back in the game. But there's something that we always wanted to do in all our games. We never had the time to do it. Focus, which is very important for us, which is the population. Because you don't want to make a game which is Excel sheet. You are the leader of a population. They have feelings. They have fears. They have desires. And we want you to be able to interact and play with that all the time, So you're not just trying to conquer people. You just try to have to do something with them, or sometimes even against them, My people are pacifists, I want to go to war. How do I change their mind about it, Can I influence them, Can I maybe actually try to provoke someone, maybe to try to push my people to ask me to go to war against them, So finally, we do that. That's also what we show in the demo at the moment. We have this whole situation when you play the Sophons, amazingly smart guys. They are the mega super geeks of the galaxies. They love to have the latest gadgets. But they scare so easily, and they're unlucky because they are very close to the cravers. These both populations, they back from Endless Space 1. We'll add very new ones, to Endless Space 2. But these cravers, they are real badass, They eat the systems where they stay. They don't do diplomacy. They always at war. They just hate you, and they are the biggest soldiers in the universe. When you're a Sophon, you are scared when you say that, And they will, through election, through politics, try to make you understand what they want, and sometimes even force you to do something, to defend them. They want to be defended. So that's kind of the center of what we're showing today in Endless Space 2. But the good thing is you can expect Endless Space 2 to be the spiritual heir both of Endless Legend and Endless Space 1. And if each time we try to push the 4X to the next level, that's what we definitely hope to achieve again with Endless Space 2.
So speaking of that, sort of the psychology of the population, if you will, because a lot of the time in these kind of games, it sort of comes down to being aggressive and warlike, or having money to sort of buy your way to things. But it seems like you're making a few more different shades of gray and things in between, and different options there for the player.
Every single action of the player in the game, whether this is building, exploring, discussing, chatting with someone else, discovering someone else, finding planets, doing some form of discovery, exploiting something. Everything has a consequence on the feelings of your population, and they will all be different in the way they react. So the Sophons, they love technology, they love, to find the coolest stuff in the galaxy. But for example, like another people that we show, which is a minor faction, in the demo, is Harosham. Harosham, these guys, all they love to do is eat. So they love to produce food. They're the best farmers in the galaxy, and they hate war. They want to be at peace all the time, and basically they will react, differently. They will not scare off easily, They believe that peace is always an issue, They can always find peace. Maybe sometimes they could believe that even with the cravers who don't talk to you, So it's different perspective on things. And what is interesting is sometimes you may want to collect, all these different people. Maybe I would want to have the best farmers, the best scientists, and try to have them all cohabit together in my empire. Sometimes they will just hate each other, and they will. I know, and you have to manage that. You have to manage all these different opinions. And how do I do? What would be awesome would be to have these, clever soldiers, fighting with my sovereign technology and having, fed by, my Harushem. But my Harushem, they hate the cravers. So it's all these situations you create all the time. And with all this manufacturing, all the major factions you have in the game, it's always different challenges, always different approach to things. And sometimes, it's also depending on how you want to play things. I want to play this game this time. I want to be more, religious, maybe. And, so I will play around that. And it's something we'll not talk more about today. But it's stuff that we reveal later. You have 8 different politics. And all of them have very different look at things, And that corresponds to who you are as a player or to who your populations are, basically.
That's a very interesting approach to sort of design factions and races very specifically in order to create varied gameplay and sort of different situations for the player, rather than just going procedural and sort of allowing sort of randomness to be creating variation.
So there's a bit of both, because you always are in a random universe, right? So everything is random, and with all the factors that will influence the populations, you will never have twice the same party. You will never have twice the same manufacturing. You will never have twice. Well, it depends. You can choose your manufacturing. That's something. But again, different events will occur, and they will evolve differently. Of course, you can try to fight that. You can try to force maybe your population to try to think in a certain way. That will be extremely difficult. This is the challenge. You want to do that, Or maybe you're more a hands-off type of guy, Think what you want. I'll do with it, And that's up to you to do it, but I can tell you will never have twice the same situation. That's the goal.
And of course, I guess the design is also to sort of create problems for the players to solve all along, so that there's no straight path there. Because if you make one choice, that affects something, and there's always going to be something to.
I mean, in the past, when you look, at playtime for our players in our games, we have people playing several hundred hours, in our games. So what we hope for these people, to transform even that in thousands of hours, but it's games endless games, as you said, we give you all the tools for you to always have a fresh take on the game. And again, it's something we discussed very quickly at the beginning. The fact that we have, these asymmetrical factions, meaning that they have unique gameplays, it's a whole area of the game. For example, we're doing an expansion pack right now for Endless Legend, where we had spying. Spying, it's a whole layer, and we have one faction on that just is able to do to steal technologies. They are the only ones who can do that. They are the only ones who all their units, they can disappear at any time. They are always in the shadows, As another player, you never know if they are around you, you can have paranoid. But that's very different gameplay. And for example, these guys, they can't even do research. They can only buy when they have enough money and dust. They can basically buy the research if they want, or they can steal them. So totally different approach on how you play the game. We had the cultists, in Endless Space, where they had only one city and no more. The rest was just religion. So it's forces you to look at the game differently in gameplay wise, but at the same time also it's even in terms of scenario and mood and quest you live. It's totally different story that you go through.
So one area you talked about people playing hundreds of hours. One area that sometimes these kind of games have struggled with is the end game, to make that interesting for the player, because sometimes you kind of get to a phase where you're sort of safe, you're sort of won. How do you sort of deal with endgame, and what kind of philosophy drives your development there?
So the good thing is you should be able to win early if you're the best. You're good. You have to be able to do that, and you should always try to find the best way and the earliest way and the fastest way to win the game. Of course, difficulty can adapt to that. What we don't want to cheat, for the AI suddenly to all bound against you, and and they all want to kill you because you're about to win. We don't want that. We all still want things to be natural. But what we want is, of course, to for the players in multiplayer or the AI to bring you that challenge. And if you win early, it's great. It's better, to have a quick end than a long kind of I won and I'm just bored. We don't want you to be bored. The good thing is where if you play with good AIs or with good players, you know, could be challenging until the very last minute. You should find new gameplays until the very end. So what we don't want is like to give you all the gameplays in the first 5 minutes, and then it's the same game that you do until the end. We always add all along the game new things to do that totally change the way you were been playing up to now. And spreading that gameplay is what gives you also that interest. You know, you win. But if you don't, you know, it's something new that you discover. And I always have this new phase I will discover in the game.
So obviously you've just announced this game. You're bringing out Dungeon of the Endless on console. A lot of things going on. What's the roadmap ahead for Amplitude?
Well, the thing is, we want to make sure that, you know, the R4Xs are the best out there. So we want to put a lot of effort on that. You know, we had a lot of success in the past. I know that people love the games that we do, but we don't want to sit on that. You know, we want to always push the limits there, and that's what we continue to do. We need also to work on several games at the same time. We can't work on just one game. You know, that's why, you know, we do all these things on the side. We tend to always have, you know, fun side projects, you know, love projects like, you know, Dungeon of the Endless was an awesome moment, totally unplanned, something we never thought we would do. It would just happen one evening, you know, totally drunk, you know, decided, man, you know, if I do a roguelike, that's how I would do it, you know. Of the weekend, you know, we all went and worked at home, you know, on prototypes, on game design documents. 3 days later, the game was starting in full production. So that's also the chance of being a small company where, you know, you can just, if you want to do it, you just do it, you know, and also being followed by all our players who give us the mean to do that, basically. So so we'll continue to do that, because by doing all these different things, we enrich all the games, you know, that we create, you know, and we're not staying stuck in just one frame of mind and doing number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, you know. That's not who we are, you know. When we do number 2, that's only because we worked on other games in between that give us new ideas that, you know, we want to revisit and add to it, you know, and it's really the next step.
So when it's done, basically?
So we hope, you know, 2016, so it's next year. You know, the way we work, you know, it's very close with the community, so we'll have first, you know, our early access game with our community through the games together, where people can vote for new features, improvement, modify, you know, the design documents. Actually, we already shared from last week, actually, our design documents with the community. So already now, people start working with us, you know, on the game to make it even better, you know. So, and then we hope to have like an early access of 4 to 6 months, depending, you know, on how it goes and how much feedback we receive and, you know, what we have to do. But the idea is for the game to be out next year.
Right. Exciting. And you can, of course, read up on everything that's going on with Amplitude on Gamereactor. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.